Now at 5, we look at Freeman Hospital's plans for offering COVID-19 vaccines to children under 5. Plus, answers to some common questions parents have about vaccinating their children, and details on a program in Missouri aimed at lowering interest rates for farmers and others.
State's most watched news starts now.
COVID-19 vaccines are now available to children as young as 6 months old, but not every local hospital has them in stock yet. This is KOAM News at 5. While the vaccines are not yet available at Freeman, hospital staff say they plan to meet in a few weeks to discuss available options for children to receive the vaccine. Jessica Liberty, manager of infection prevention at Freeman, says it may be time to start having conversations with your pediatrician to determine if your child should be vaccinated.
Immunocompromised, those with chronic illnesses, those are the people that you prioritize to the top that would be at higher risk for developing complications with having COVID. So those are the ones you absolutely want to, at least have that conversation with your pediatrician to determine if they think that they would be eligible or a good candidate for the vaccine.
Freeman pediatricians have already been getting calls about the vaccine for kids under 5. The parents might have some questions about getting their children vaccinated. Reporter Astrid Martinez speaks to a pediatrician about what parents want to know.
As the first COVID-19 shots go into the arms of the youngest Americans, many parents have questions about the vaccines.
COVID vaccination can help with preventing severe illness, hospitalizations, and deaths in this young age group.
A common question, why get younger children vaccinated for COVID-19 if the illness can be mild for them? Dr. Sarah Boslett is a pediatrician at Indiana University Health.
COVID infection is now the leading infectious cause of death in children under 5. And it doesn't seem like a big deal until it's your child who's really sick.
Another common question, if my child already had COVID-19, do they still need to get the vaccine?
They are at risk of getting it again, and the vaccine provides even more protection over time. If your child currently has COVID, wait until their symptoms have gone away and then schedule their COVID vaccine.
Some parents worry younger children may be more vulnerable to side effects of the vaccine, but studies show they are typically mild and can include fever, pain at the injection site, fatigue, and irritability. As for whether the youngest kids could suffer the rare side effect of heart inflammation seen in some adolescents and adults,
there were no cases reported throughout all the vaccine studies.
And can children get their COVID vaccines along with other regularly scheduled vaccines? Dr. Boslett says yes. Astrid Martinez, CBS News, New York.
If your child is experiencing side effects after the vaccine, you can give some acetaminophen or ibuprofen. But doctors say it's not recommended to give over-the-counter pain relievers before vaccination to try and prevent side effects. Freeman tells us it has doctors available to answer parents' questions. A new program is helping Missouri businesses and farmers receive loans with low interest rates. Today, Missouri Treasurer Fitzpatrick met with American Ramp Company in Joplin to discuss the benefits of the program called MoBucks. MoBucks is a linked deposit program using state funds and allows businesses to be able to afford necessary equipment and materials at a discounted interest rate. With this program, the American Ramp Company has been able to update some of their equipment, purchase a new laser, and working on building a new break room.
Really, at the end of the day, it's not a handout to the business. The business is trying to buy a piece of equipment, or they're trying to add on to their building, or they need a cash flow loan to finance the growth they're having. Whatever it is, they're responsible for paying that loan back.
Missouri business owners or farmers can talk to their bank to learn more about the MoBucks plan. A little bit cooler today, perhaps. Let's check in with Nick Kelly.
And not only that, we're trying to cash in on some thunderstorm chances, at least in parts of the area down. But from 7th and Rangeline, we got this view pretty quiet so far today. But switching over to the Skywatch Storm Tracker, even though we don't have a lot showing up right now, I am keeping an eye on this cluster of storms from Hutch near the 135 corridor down through Wichita and down to Arkansas City. This potent storm is tracking more southeast. I don't think that will clip any of our viewing area, but these are all just thunderstorm chances that we'll watch until we hit about sunset tonight. Then I think we're going to gravitate toward a quiet night. And quite a mild night on top of that. Upper 80s to near 90 for most. Thankfully, it doesn't feel that hot. It feels like the mid-90s nonetheless at the warmest. Once we get past our evening rain chances, we'll drop back through the 80s, 70s. I think most of us down to 71 for tonight. Dow, more rain chances in the forecast, and eventually a break from the heat. We'll break it down here in a few.
See you then. A powerful earthquake struck a remote region of Afghanistan overnight, killing at least 1,000 people. The death toll is expected to grow as more information trickles in from villages there. It was the deadliest quake in 2 decades. The UN says it shipped about 10 tons of medical supplies and employed 20 medical teams, but they don't currently have search and rescue capabilities in that region. For the first time in nearly 3 decades, Congress could be closer to passing new gun reform legislation named the Bipartisan Safer Communities Act. 14 Republican senators joined the Democrats to overcome the first procedural vote. The bipartisan deal expands background checks for people under 21, giving up to 10 business days to review juvenile and mental health records. It also provides money for states to enact red flag laws. Still ahead, possible relief from the pain at the pump.
President Biden proposes a break from the federal gas tax, but will it bring relief to drivers? I'm Natalie Brand with what analysts say about the impact on prices.
And next in Health Watch, how the skin disease psoriasis impacts other organs, including your heart.
KOA.
Topping today's Health Watch, a federal panel reviewing vitamin and mineral supplements is recommending against the use of beta-carotene and vitamin E supplements for the prevention of cardiovascular disease and cancer. The U.S. Preventative Services Task Force also says there is not enough evidence to support the use of multivitamins to prevent cancer and cardiovascular disease. More than half of U.S. adults surveyed reported using at least one supplement in the last 30 days. According to the National Psoriasis Foundation, more than 8 million people in the U.S. have psoriasis. Well, now research is showing this skin disease affects other organs, including the heart. When you think of psoriasis, you probably think of red, itchy, scaly skin patches. But scientists are finding out this common disease affects more than the skin.
That inflammation that's present in the skin that's causing the skin to swell and to thicken, it is much more than skin deep. It's causing a full body inflammatory process.
And recent studies have shown that inflammation impacts your body's cardiovascular system.
That patient with psoriasis has a much higher risk of having heart disease, dying of heart disease, than a patient that doesn't.
A recent review of 90 studies found patients with psoriasis had a higher risk of ischemic heart disease, stroke, and peripheral arterial disease. They also had more heart disease risk factors like obesity, high blood pressure, high cholesterol, and diabetes. And another study found psoriasis was linked to an increased risk of developing a heart arrhythmia. But there are things you can do to lower your risk of heart problems and improve your psoriasis symptoms.
Stopping smoking, decreasing your alcohol consumption, eating more fresh fruits, fresh vegetables, less processed foods.
Taking your prescribed medicines may also help. A study published in Cardiovascular Research found that biologic drugs used to treat psoriasis may also reduce the risk of heart disease. Psoriasis is often mistaken for other skin diseases like eczema, ringworm, hives, even skin cancer. A dermatologist can help you determine if your skin rashes are psoriasis. New government data finds 14.5% of American adults have trouble falling asleep. The survey from the National Center for Health Statistics also found more than 17% have trouble staying asleep. Women were more likely than men to have trouble both falling and staying asleep. And that is a look at today's health news. A little bit later, our pet vet on call.
Hi, I'm Dr. Ava Dudek from Parsons Pet Hospital. Coming up, we got an animal fun fact about beavers.
But first, we're going to track these rain chances for this evening and see if any future rain can scrub out this heat when we come back. Well, we are sticking with the heat technically throughout the course of the day once again, but As Dow mentioned at the top of the show, it did feel a bit cooler, certainly compared to the mid-90s that we saw the other day for afternoon highs. We dropped back into the lower 70s this morning, spent much of the afternoon in the mid to upper 80s, but over the past couple hours we did see Joplin at least hit 90 degrees so far this afternoon, as Joplin was pretty much able to dodge any rain or thunderstorm chances. But this morning we had some grazing in our northern counties, a few little guys popping up in northeast Oklahoma earlier this afternoon. But in the short term, what I'm keeping an eye on are these clusters of thunderstorms. One storm trying to race out towards Salina, but this one that might want to try and graze our very far southwestern counties is working through Winfield right now and other parts of Sumner and Butler counties. I believe that's what the county is, but not looking too potent right now. That is, unless we throw on the lightning. This is an electric storm, but I think it's diving more southeast, so something else we'll keep an eye on. Otherwise, we're all looking quiet for now on the radar network, so that translates to a quiet view from Indigo Sky just outside of Seneca, Missouri, and from 7th and Rangeline as well. Current numbers at the 5 o'clock hour have us at 90. Feels like 94 though, with the dew point sitting at 68, but we'll take temperatures near 90 now compared to the mid-90s that we had 24 hours ago. But again, with the humidity out there, it feels like mainly the lower to middle 90s across much of the area. We'll fall through the 80s, 70s, down to actually 71 as we go into the overnight hours, while we continue to keep an eye on these thunderstorm chances. In fact, with that storm system parked on top of the region, it is going to try to keep some thunderstorms in the forecast, but mainly the storms out to the west, if they're going to try to come at us, they're going to fall apart as they do. Still something I'll watch as we go into late tonight. But I think most of us are dry to start your Thursday morning out, right around 71 degrees. Then the frontal boundary just parks right on top of us once again. So we'll watch for some scattered thunderstorm chances during the day, and that is going to keep temperatures at least fairly similar to what we had today. 71 in the morning, 86 by noon, highs near 91, but we'll have an easterly breeze during the day at about 5 to 15 miles per hour. Looking ahead, we'll watch for some possible thunderstorms that could try to graze our northern counties by Friday morning, something I'll track as we go into Friday morning. And then I think we'll be dry for Friday afternoon, but that's when the frontal boundary lifts back to the north, and we're actually going to be back into the mid-90s for highs. Fortunately for Saturday, we're going to back away from the heat a little bit, but as long as this upper ridge is still in control. This setup is going to keep us in the upper 90s for highs on Saturday, but a stronger system, especially a stronger cold front, look at what it does. Not only gives us a better shot for widespread rain and storms Saturday night into Sunday morning, look at how it squashes that ridge and shoves it back to the west. And looking dry going into early next week, that is a welcome sign that we're going to get a break from the heat, finally. 91 tomorrow, 95 Friday, upper 90s, maybe a few spots near 100 on Saturday, Dow, but with behind that stronger front, lower to middle 80s for early next week, and lows in the lower 60s come Monday morning.
Wow, that sounds good, and the prospect for rain, that's at least promising.
Yeah, we'll take all that's coming our way.
You bet. Thanks, Nick. Hey, here's a look at our tower camera, sponsored by R.E. Smith Construction, as work continues on the KOAM More Power project. You know, you can check it out anytime on our website. That's koamnewsnow.com/power. Coming up, a push by the president to temporarily halt federal gasoline taxes. First, though, we honor a local veteran. John Worley joined the U.S. Army in 1988. The Wyandotte, Oklahoma native was stationed in Egypt, Afghanistan, and Korea. And we salute Sergeant John Worley, a four-state hero. Topping today's Consumer Watch, the Justice Department announces steps Facebook will take to prevent discriminatory housing advertising. The DOJ says it reached an agreement with Facebook's parent company, Meta Platforms, to settle a lawsuit. The agreement will have Facebook change its algorithms. The Justice Department says this was its first case challenging algorithmic discrimination under the Fair Housing Act. Juul vape pens may soon be pulled from stores in the U.S. The Wall Street Journal is reporting the FDA could order the e-cigarette maker to pull its products from store shelves. The agency has not formally announced a move yet, but according to the Journal, the order could come soon. Juul gained notoriety after it was criticized for selling flavored vape pods that were popular with teens. President Biden wants to give drivers a break this summer. He's calling on Congress to suspend the federal gas tax. But it's not clear just how much of those savings will actually reach consumers. Reporter Natalie Brand has the latest from the White House.
With drivers feeling helpless over high prices, President Biden is calling on Congress to suspend the federal gas tax through the end of September.
By suspending the 18-cent gas tax, federal gas tax, for the next 90 days, we can bring down the price of gas and give families just a little bit of relief.
That 18 cents per gallon tax is used to fund repairs for major highways, but the administration says other money could be used in the interim.
It really pales in comparison to the jump in prices we've seen.
Patrick DeHaan with Gas Buddy says while the tax holiday could offer some relief, it may ultimately end up making things worse.
Cutting prices risks Americans increasing consumption, which could eventually cause prices to go up down the road.
The president's plan is also expected to face opposition in Congress, where even Democratic lawmakers are divided.
I'm willing to embrace his proposals for a gas tax holiday. I want to get more data on whether this kind of savings would actually be passed on to the consumers.
Is yet another gimmick, another Band-Aid, and something they know is dead on arrival up here in Congress.
President Biden is also calling on states to enact their own relief.
Generally, state tax holidays are more effective because states generally charge more than the 18.4-cent federal tax.
Some states, including New York, Connecticut, Georgia, and Maryland, have already taken action. Others may follow. Natalie Brandt, CBS News, the White House.
President Biden also pushed back against criticism of domestic production, saying this month the U.S. produced 12 million barrels of oil per day. That's higher than the average under his predecessor. The Energy Secretary is meeting tomorrow with representatives from oil refineries to discuss ways to boost output. Kellogg says it's splitting into 3 companies. The maker of Frosted Flakes, Rice Krispies, and Eggo will become separate businesses, with each focusing on cereals, snacks, and plant-based foods. The cereal and plant-based foods companies will remain in Battle Creek, Michigan, while the snack company will have corporate headquarters in Chicago. Snacks account for some 80% of Kellogg's sales. Our pet vet on call next.
Salon service is
Up next on the CBS Evening News, the story of 2 families who've been saving each other's lives for nearly 80 years. Then on KOAM News at 6, a Springfield couple's arrested for allegedly locking their teenage son in a dog cage and abusing him. Plus, we're going to have more on when a local hospital expects to have children's doses of the COVID-19 vaccine. And the Joplin Fire Department holds a special ceremony for a new fire truck. Stay with us. CBS Evening News, KOAM News at 6. Every animal species is unique, and some have characteristics that might surprise you. Today, our pet vet on call has a fun fact for us about beaver teeth.
Beavers are one of the largest rodents. A rodent is characterized by one thing, and that is that their teeth never stop growing. So they have to chew on something to keep them at a reasonable, healthy length. The fascinating thing here about beavers is that their enamel contains iron, which helps keep it strong for chewing those hard trees, but it also gives them an orange hue. So you can always tell a beaver when they smile at you and you see orange teeth.
Orange teeth, who knew? We invite questions from anyone. If you have a question, you just send it to petvet@koamtv.com. Dr. Eva Dudek from Parsons Vet Hospital answers a different question or brings us a fun fact every Wednesday on KOAM News at 5. You can also find answers to previous questions on our website. All right, let's check out our picks of the litter for the week. From the Joplin Humane Society, we've chosen this female domestic shorthair named Beans. And from the Southeast Kansas Humane Society, we have a 2-year-old female pit bull terrier mix. Her name is Flutterbug. Yeah, Beans and Flutterbug. No kidding. If you're looking for a pet, why not at least check out your local Humane Society? Probably no orange teeth beavers there, but all kinds of dogs and cats.
Yeah, all looking for a good home.
You bet. the weather more tolerable anyway.
Yeah, at least for today, and we'll do it again for tomorrow. Despite some thunderstorm chances hanging around, highs near 91, 95 Friday, 98 Saturday, but a stronger front Saturday night will send us into the 80s finally come Sunday.
We'll welcome that. Thanks for joining us. The CBS Evening News is next, and of course, we're going to be right back here for KOAM News at 6. See you then. Let's make it a great evening.